stuck, who your opponent, man, the man in the mirror.
Welcome to the Stuck the World podcast. We just coming to stimulate some conversation. I'm on my way to get my hair cut right now, but I just want to talk about life all the time. I think life is the only topic of discussion. It's the only important topic to me. Uh, so basically, I want to start with you are what you consume, right? So if you're constantly consuming negative energy, you're probably gonna put forth negative energy. I don't want to be preachy. I just kind of want to talk about my understanding of life and hopefully help somebody out there who's going through something hard, because I remember when, scratch that, man, I'm on a journey and not smoking marijuana no more. So it's been a couple days. I've went on detoxes before, but I had reasons for it. You know what I mean? The reason was I had to get a job. Graduated college, so I'm like, okay, I need to stop smoking for 3-4 months, make sure that my P's good, so I could pass the test. Just regular stuff that we do to try to get by. But I think, let me keep my seatbelt on. I think, this is a journey I just want to take before I stopped smoking. So I started smoking at 16, and I started smoking weed because I tore my hamstring in football. And at first I was the kid that, I didn't smoke. I was around smoking, I was around weed, I was around other drugs too. Nobody was doing the drugs, but selling the drugs around me. So I was always one of them kids that was just kind of but I was a kid, so I was always I'm not gonna do that. I'm good. When I'm around my friends, my homies, just nah, I'm good. I don't want to. Tore my hamstring at 16. That's at a vital point in your life where you're kind of trying to figure out who you are. What are you gonna do? So probably stressed out. I was in a whole nother mind frame. My house, my living arrangement was toxic. So, it made a lot of sense to smoke weed to me at that point. Fast forward, I went to college, got kicked out of school, went back to college, ended up graduating. But I started this journey in meditation at 21 years old. I'm 29 right now. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and lie, oh yeah, you meditate. I meditate all the time. Not at all. You know, uh, I read a lot of stuff on Alan Watts. You know what I mean? It takes time to meditate. Especially when you first start getting into it. You have to calm the mind down. So I started meditating. I probably meditated for 3 months straight. I wasn't hanging out with my friends. I was going through a lot of life. I got kicked out of school. I had to go back home. You know what I mean? And it was just kind of where do I go from here? So at that point, I started meditation for 3 months, putting my phone down. I've always been on and off social media, Instagram, things like that, because it never really served a purpose for me. You know what I mean? I felt like it was a lot of attention seeking, but to carry along, I didn't have to meditate for too long to get a calm mind. And when you go into meditation, you get this sense of calmness. And I've always been hard on myself. So if I got into it with somebody at work or if something ended up happening, I would always just blame myself, But now I'm at this point, I'm not smoking, I'm not stressed, you know what I mean? And I just feel good, you know what I mean? And I just want to spread just positive energy, you know what I mean? I want to be able to talk about, my life experiences. Um, I want to get into other people's life experiences. I love to learn, but, you know, just going back to the meditation thing, it just kind of it empties your mind. You know, it teaches you to understand that your thoughts are just thoughts. Um, what's the saying? Alan Watts was like, you got to treat your thoughts like clouds in the sky. You just got to let them kind of go by. And I know one of my issues was like, growing up, I was like angry. I was very, very angry, very mad. I didn't really know what was wrong, what was going on. I started meditation, and then now that I'm like, I've stopped smoking. Usually I go through these withdrawals, right, where I'm having bad dreams. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm angry, I'm mad. But this time it's a bit different. It's just, I'm not going through crazy withdrawals. Obviously you get those cravings like, oh, I want to smoke, but it's time for me to go a different route. You know, uh, I think just me, I'm not angry how I used to be. So like I have like this clarity of like, okay, what's next for me? I've done the whole made your mama proud, went to college, went to go get my master's degree, did all of that. I have a family. Like, it's not like I'm just sitting here like, going through this like, yo, who's this dude? Like by himself in his car, like making these videos by himself and stuff like that. Like I have a family, everything. I'm actually working on another channel towards kids. And when I say towards kids, I mean in the sense of I work with children. Uh so and I have kids. So I just kind of feel like the youth is the next thing. I feel like as a world we're not focused on what's important. You know. I'm not saying that I have all the answers, not saying that I have any answers, but I just know that targeting the youth in a positive manner will probably help the future, you know. So um I've always had this self-doubt, just kind of the way I speak. I'm brown. I don't call myself black. That's a negation of color. I'm brown. You know what I'm saying? I come from, I was born in Los Angeles. You know what I mean? I lived in Compton for a little bit. Lived in Long Beach for a little bit. Lived in San Bernardino and the IE for a little bit. So like Colton, Rialto, like I've lived in these areas in which, I don't articulate my words the way that other people do. People do. So I kind of would go through that. Um, when I was in school, even in college, like you get ostracized, like people look at you different, people treat you different because you look different. And it's like I don't look like uh your preppy brown guy. You know what I'm saying? Like uh I don't have the fade. I don't have, you know what I'm saying? Like and my goal growing up wasn't to I didn't want to look like who I wanted to become. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to be the suit and tie kind of guy. Like I wanted to be locks, tattoos, but let me go up here and speak my mind. Let me go up here and persuade you. Um and that was my goal. So, you know, like I said, my goal is to spread positive energy. I know life is hard for some people. Life is hard for a lot of people. But just remember, you're not alone. So just to move along, move along. So I don't want to match the temperature of the world. You know what I mean? So like the world seems to be hectic now. Like it seems to be like it seems like as a whole we're going in the wrong direction. And I feel like you've heard this throughout the years from different people. So it's kind of just like, do you try to change it? Um, I've always had these thoughts, like even as a kid, like I've had adults tell me like, yo, like when you were a kid, dude, like you used to be sitting in the room with us, like trying to put your 2 cents in on stuff at 4 or 5 years old, like on what the world was. So I think I've always kind of been like this certain kind of personality. You know what I mean? I've always wanted to help people. I've always wanted to do things for people. So if you need a somebody to talk to, I'm not a therapist. Um, I do have credentials, but not in therapy. Remember, you're not alone. So just going back to it, it's just I'm paying attention to the world and I'm paying attention to how negative it's becoming. So I'm sure people probably felt this back in the days. You know, things are starting to become more expensive. Like things, it's harder for people to live. So to me, it's kind of like this platform right here is, I want to be able to have conversations with other people, you know, other intellects. I think I can hang with other intellects when it comes to psychology and dealing with perspective of the world. I'm not talking about chemical engineering, physics, all of that kind of stuff. I'm not really. I'll listen, like I'll try to learn it, but I'm not really into that. I think I have like a different calling. Also, you know, I watched the Terrence Howard and like Joe Rogan podcast. I don't know if anybody kind of like is into that, but I watched it, and then I also watched when he brought an intellect on to the platform, and the way that he treated Terrence Howard was the way that I used to get treated in school, where it was kind of like he was dismissing what Terrence Howard was saying, but he was trying to make it seem like he wanted to understand him. And the thing about people who are drawn into one kind of domain or one kind of field is that a lot of people won't try to navigate or see what else is going on within that field or within the world or within that kind of domain. So I'm gonna leave it here to say, keep your mind open, always be ready to stimulate conversations, and don't take things personal. um Things will always seem like it's targeted towards you, but remember, if you got your ducks in a row, you don't always have to be the problem. You know, some people have problems and they bring them to you. Some people project their own problems onto you. So, you know, this podcast is for a roundabout of people, a roundabout of topics. uh People are always like, you gotta find that one thing you gotta talk about, and it's like, not here. You know, I want to talk about everything. I want to learn as much as I can. I want to bring forth energy that is for everybody. I don't exclude anybody. Um, I'm not. I understand the differences of race and culture and all those kind of things, but I don't exclude anybody. Um, I think culture is what makes you who you are, but I also think it doesn't make you better than anybody. So until next time, peace.
Stuck who your opponent, man, the man in the mirror.